Hey students, in this video I'm going to go over how to write quadratic equations in intercept form. So first we're going to see which one's the intercept form, and it's this one on the far right. And this is new to all of you. So the intercept form was created for you to see the notation and identify these numbers right away as your x-intercepts. So these numbers, they have to be x minus a number. So again, if you see a plus, that means you have a negative number, similar to what you have here when it comes to the h. So what you're going to be given is the x-intercepts and also a point. And similar to what we did previously with these examples of given a vertex and a point, we're going to also write equations given a x-intercepts and a point. So the process will be for you to use the x-intercepts or the zeros as p and q. So again, having the understanding that x-intercepts are called zeros, and using a third point, which is the point given as xy. You substitute p, q, x, and y, and solve for a. So same process as the previous lesson. And then once you have the a, you just substitute the a, the p, and the q into the template, and then you'll be done. So let's do a couple of examples here. The first example, it says to write an equation in intercept form given the following. So they're giving you the x-intercept, so that is your p and your q. You're only going to use the numbers that represent the x-intercepts. And then the y-intercept is a point. So that point will be representing x and y. So p is 1, q is -7, x is 0, and y is -42. So we're going to substitute those values into the template, which is y equals a, x minus p, x minus q. And we're going to substitute those values for y, x, p, and q. So we're going to have the y, which is -42, equals a parentheses dx, 0 minus your p, which is 1, times x, which is 0, minus your q. So minus -7. So here we're going to solve for a, and the process of solving for a is to focus on these parts right here first. This 0 minus 1 is -1, and then 0 minus -7 ends up being +7, so 0 plus 7 is 7. And these two need to be multiplied, so -1 times 7 is -7. All of this is being multiplied times a, so that means that this -7 will be the coefficient of a. And then now you solve for a by dividing by -7. So in this case, we have 6 as our answer. Positive 6 is the a value. So what we're going to do now is write the template again. Y equals a, x minus p, x minus q. And now that we have the a, we're going to put it in there. So y equals 6 parentheses x minus your p. P is 1. And then x minus your q, which is -7. So when you do minus negative, you end up with a +7. So just a reminder, this is a simplified version of writing x minus -7. So to verify that this is right, you can always graph this in your calculator. And let's see. If we type this equation in our calculator, 6 parentheses x minus 1 parentheses x plus 7, we're going to verify that we have the x-intercepts given, the x-intercept of 1, 0, and -7, 0. So we can always trace and just go left and right until we find those zeros. Right there, that one is -7, 0, and the other one 1, 0. So that confirms that these two are correct. It also says that the y-intercept is 0, -42, so we can check that right there, 0, -42. So this confirms that the work we did was correct. All right, let's try another example. Here we have an equation in the intercept form given the roots. So roots is another word for x-intercepts. I believe right here on your notes it says that x-intercepts are also referred to zeros, roots, and solutions. So just be open-minded that you could be given the same information representing x-intercepts, but called differently. So those roots will be your p and your q. So p is -2, q is -5. And then it tells you it goes through this point, so that will be x and y. X is 1, y is 36. And then now we use those four values into our template of the equation, y equals a, x minus p, x minus q. And we're going to substitute those for y, x, p, x, and q. So now this will look like 36 equals a, 1 minus -2, and then x again, 1 minus -5. And we're going to focus on simplifying this part first. So 1 minus negative is plus. So 1 plus 2 is 3. And then 1 minus negative is 1 plus. So 1 plus 5 is 6. And these end up multiplying each other. So 3 times 6 is 18. And again, this is next to a, which means that we are multiplying times a. So 18a ends up being the answer to all this, and it equals 36. So to solve for a, we're going to divide by 18. So a equals 2. Once we have the a value, we're going to use the p and the q, and we're going to write our equation. So the equation follows y equals a, x minus p, x minus q, and we're going to substitute a, p, and q. So y equals 2, x minus -2, and then x minus -5. So this simplifies to y equals 2, x plus 2, x plus 5. So that will be the equation. Let me highlight it just so it could stand out. So this one, that was the answer. This one, that's the answer. And the next one is a graph. So same thing, if they want the intercept form, we need to identify P and Q. And P and Q are your x-intercepts. So right here we have the x-axis. That is one of the values, -5. And that is another value, 1. Then it's giving you the point. So if we have the point x is -2, y is -4, we're going to substitute those four values into the equation. So y equals a, x minus p, x minus q, and we're going to substitute y, x, p, x, q. So we're going to have -4 equals a, parentheses, -2 minus -5, and then -2 minus 1. And then this part simplifies. -2 minus -5 is -2 plus 5. -2 plus 5 is 3. And then -2 minus 1 is -3. So -3 times +3 is -9. And that is the answer for this section. So again, 8 times that, that means we have negative 9a equals negative 4. So right here, we are going to divide by negative 9. This looks like a weird looking fraction, so let me just verify we wrote everything correct. So negative 5 is the p. Good. 1, negative 2, negative 4. Okay, should still work. So next we have negative 4 as our y, negative 2 minus negative 5 plus 3. Negative 2 minus 1, negative 3. That should work. So according to this, the answer for A is positive 4/9. I'm going to leave it there and we'll check with the calculator that this is true. So now that we have the A value, we're going to just substitute the A and the P and the Q. A, P, Q. And we're going to have y equals 4/9 x minus negative 5 and x minus 1. So that minus negative will become a plus. So that should be the equation. Let's type it in the calculator and verify. Again, not everyone likes working with fractions, but that's why a calculator can verify this for you. So I'm going to delete this and type 4/9. So 4/9 parentheses x plus 5 x minus 1, and I'm going to trace it. Okay, so the vertex is negative 2, negative 4, which confirms this point right here. And let's check the zeros. So one of the zeros is negative 5, 0, so that confirms that one. And then the other 0 is 1, 0. So yeah, that is the correct answer. And again, you can always verify with the calculator to make sure you got it right. Okay, last problem together requires a critical thinking because of the relationships created. So if they give you a 0 of negative 7 and 3, those are your x-intercepts, your zeros. Then a maximum of 50. So you don't know where the turning point is yet, but you do know that this is your max. The neat thing about knowing that is that the x-intercepts are going to cross symmetrically halfway away from the axis of symmetry. So you just got to count the spaces, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And half of that is 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That means here at negative 2, we have the axis of symmetry. This is where the vertex of the graph exists, which creates a point for us. So even though it's a vertex, it's still a point. It's still xy. So the xy will be negative 2 and then 50. And then the zeros will be your p and your q. So negative 7 is your p, 3 is your q, x is negative 2, and 50 is your y. Okay, and now we substitute the values. And we're going to substitute y, x, p, x cubed. So 50 equals a times negative 2 minus negative 7 and negative 2 minus 3. Then we simplify this part. Negative 2 minus 7 is negative 2 plus 7, which creates 5. And negative 2 minus 3 is negative 5. Negative 5 times 5 is negative 25. and then the a comes along and it goes negative 25a. Then we solve for a by dividing by negative 25. So therefore your answer is negative 2, sorry. Okay, to finish this, we're just going to substitute the a, p, and q. And that should be your answer. So your answer here will be y equals negative 2x minus your p, which is negative 7. And then x minus your q, which is 3. So to clean this up, it'll be negative 2 parentheses x plus 7 and x minus 3. Okay? I hope this video helps you understand how to write equations in intercept form. See you in class.